I have already done a detailed grammar, inductive grammar on Genesis 1:1 to 2:4. What I'd like to do on this video is read the text in Hebrew, give a translation in English, followed by a very brief commentary. The purpose of this video is to help people read the Hebrew, and then I would encourage anyone that has the interest to go to the grammatical section that we've done, or video, where we go into each word grammatically. So this is primarily to read it out loud, which I think is critical in studying Hebrew or Greek in Scripture. Always read it out loud, translate it, and then it'll really help in advancing one's Hebrew. So often, Hebrew and Greek is studied without reading it aloud. And I'm not convinced that that's the best way. I think we need to hear the language as well as work in the details of grammar. So I'm going to read each day in Hebrew and then give a brief, very brief comment. I want to say this, that it's my conviction that Genesis 1 is showing God as, in a great way, as a king on the throne, while Genesis 2 is showing him as a potter. And we see two aspects of God. I've said this in other tapes. One is his transcendence in 1 as a king, and then his immanence in 2 as a potter. Let me begin and just read it in Hebrew. Verse 1. Bereshit bara Elohim et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'ha'aretz, verse 2. Hayatatohu vavohu v'choshek al panei tehom v'ruach Elohim merachefet al panei hamayim. Verse 3. Vayomer Elohim yehi or, vayehi or. Verse 4. Vayar Elohim et haor kito. Vayevdel Elohim bein haor uvein hachoshek. Verse 5. Vayekra Elohim laor yom, v'lachoshek kara laila. Vayehi erev, vayehi boker yom achad. Translating day 1, verse 1 then. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was formless and empty, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided between the light and between the darkness. And God called, literally, to the light, day. Your name will be day. And to the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, day 1. In this beautiful beginning of Bereshit, of Genesis, we see God as the sovereign. And we see him calling everything into being. It is interesting when we compare this with the Pneuma Elish, the Babylonian account of creation. What a difference. In the Babylonian account, you have two gods merging their waters, Apsu and Tiamat, and giving birth to a number of minor gods, or gods. We have a theogony, we could say, a birthing of the gods. What a contrast here in this beautiful monotheism, where God alone is on the throne. And he is, can I say, shouting out commands as the king on the throne. He simply said, "Let there be light." And there was light in the midst of the darkness. And he called the light day and the darkness night. And there was evening, there was morning, day one. In terms of New Testament theology, it is striking that in John 1, John draws back on this text, I believe, when he talks about Jesus as the Logos, who was in the beginning. In arche ein halagos, kai halagos prastan thean, kai theas ein halagos. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was face to face with God, and the Word was God. And so the Septuagint in Genesis 1 here begins in arche, and we have John 1:1 beginning the same way. In arche apoiesin, God made the heaven and the earth. And in John 1, in the beginning was the Word, because here we see the Word speaking. God said, God said. And so John will go on to tell us that all things were made by Christ. Without him was not anything made that was made, in verse 2. John will also talk about Jesus as the light that shines in the darkness, and the darkness could not take it down or mug it, so to speak, and kateleven in verse 5. It's also interesting to me that light precedes the sun. And in the book of Revelation, there's no need of a sun because the Lamb is there, we are told. So to me, these verses provide a tremendous beginning point that starts here. And then in the New Testament, we see a continuation of what is started here, applied to Jesus Christ as the eternal Logos, the eternal Word with the Father, and all things being made by him, and also, can we say, the eternal light that was always there and shines in the darkness. And in John, the darkness, the death of Christ, and all that he went through could not mug that light, but that light continues to shine in resurrected glory, and even in the new heaven and new earth. No need of a sun, because Jesus will be there.